Hey guys, welcome back to this daily vlog cycle on day number 28 and the 16th day of the WePlay Pushka League. Double checking I'm right on that. Yeah, 16th day. And what a day. I actually had 4 best of 3s. I was hosting the last 2. I was catching glimpses of the first 2 series. Not too much unsurprising occurring actually today as we open up the day Secret 2-0 the side of Ninjas in Pajamas. Ninjas in Pajamas put up a decent fight. The games went pretty long. I think they were both around 50 minutes long. But in the end, from what I saw of it, it just looked like Secret had a more kind of coherent draft, I want to say. It wasn't anything... Well, no, that's unfair. NIP's draft was fine. But Secret's execution just felt a lot cleaner. They had this Death Prophet to play around, this Monkey King, so you had scaling into the late game, and this kind of Centaur Rubik combo for the early aggression on lane as well as the in-out. Whereas Nip, they went for, some tried and trues, the Oracle plus Troll. They had the Queen of Pain carrying up the pace. They had this Beastmaster to gel it all together. And then for the big team fight, Phoenix. But in the end, Secret took that game. And then they went on to take the second game in what I would say was a more convincing draft win. Nip still had their upsides. They did have a Weaver. They had this Grimstroke plus Ember, and they also had a Void Spirit. But they backed it up with a Naga. I'm just not the biggest fan of Naga right now. And I felt like Secret drafting him with the Spectre was just more formidable. Also, the fact that they got their hands on the Shadow Demon just works really well as the game goes on, you get later on. I felt like Secret, it was a game where when you look at the draft, you can see how it should be easier for them to win, and they executed it very well. That game did go pretty late, but you always feel confident with Spectre and lineup going for that late game scenario, even up against someone like a Naga. Moving on to the next series, we did get to see Nigma versus Alliance, where Alliance, convincing fashion, 2-0 there as well. The first game went on for quite a while. That may be to do more with like Alliance. While they did have this staple Death Prophet that they play off really well, they felt a bit confident to go later. They had this Nico Baby, Ricky, a hero that's kind of been hit and miss. And as the game dragged out, you could kind of feel like Nigma might be in with chance off the back having like Nature's Prophet buying a lot of time around the map. This Pugna early pressuring, and the fact they had a Phantom Lancer, but Alliance were able to pull that one back. But in game 2, it was just a run over. A 24-minute victory for the side of Alliance, despite the fact that they picked a Bristleback and their opponents got their hands on the Viper. The Viper really wasn't able to actually pressure too much, and Alliance were able to actually stomp their opponents with a Morphling, which is something I feel like it's kind of rare. We're not seeing it too often at the moment that the Morphlings are able to pop off that early. Usually that hero needs a lot more time in the game. Maybe it's just a weakness of Nigma's choice of a Sven though. I feel like Sven plus Viper, like these heroes are kind of on the sluggisher side. They don't want to get involved as early. Like Viper's very slow. Sven wants some time to farm. Whereas even when you got a Morphling, when you think about some of the heroes available to you, like the Viper, like the Sven, which gives you stuns and mobility, like a Morphling can get involved earlier, especially when you're backed up by some team fight from the Bristle, from the Panga. So Alliance, I think that's just more credit to them. Nigma obviously looking shaky, but Alliance just looking on top now of the group stage, especially as they are 5-1, only dropping 1 series very early on to the side of Team Secret and looking hotter and hotter every day that we see them. Moving on to that, we then come into the ones that I was hosting and I was watching every single second of, which is Virtus Pro versus Virtus Pro Prodigy. This was the game where VP really needed to turn up. They really needed to stick their goddamn boot into the face, the back of the head of Prodigy, and push them into the mud. Virtus Pro Prodigy already qualifying, of course, didn't have as much to play for, but Virtus Pro could really do at those points at that point, because that put them up to 3-2 on the score, now matching Flyteman's 3-3, which we'll get to in a moment. Now Virtus Pro are in a solid position to move on through to the playoffs if they beat Team Spirit tomorrow. But in this series, it just really felt like Virtus Pro Prodigy kept allowing themselves to get outdrafted, I want to say. They kept relying on this Axe pickup, this Disruptor as well. These heroes kind of felt a little bit at odds on what they wanted to do. You think of Axe as more of a counter initiation type hero, whereas Disruptor really milks the fact that you're ahead. In the first game, we saw them rely on Ricky, and that really got punished. Virtus Pro, I have to give all the credit in the world to, though. They played their draft so well. They were ultra aggressive. They never let up. And even if Prodigy were to take a win, it was always on the other side of the map, and they were never able to convert it into anything meaningful. And eventually this Spectre just got out of control, not in game 1, but in game 2 as well. Credit to no one, especially, by the way. Game 1, Batrider made so much space, drew so much aggro and attention, it just allowed this Spectre to naturally transition, as well as this Weaver and the Centaur. Weaver, by the way, in that game, Zayas played it magnificently. I think Weaver's actually going to be the go-to thing you want to look at if you're letting Phoenix through the draft. It's just so good at sniping out the egg early on. And Zayas was formidable at that. Then in game number 2, no one. He decided he didn't want to be a sacrificial lamb anymore. He decided no one on the side of VP had to be a sacrificial lamb, as he dominated with his Invoker performance, always drawing so much attention and never giving his life, forcing around choke points, tornadoing if they had the numbers going in, if not retreating and going, Spectre is farming, we're going to be fine as this goes on, Centaur is farming, we'll be fine as this goes. I also love the way that Solo's using the Ogre Magi at the moment. We're seeing a little bit more Ogre Magi coming out, and I think it just really suits his playstyle. It's this early brawler. This person wants to get up in people's faces. It gives a nice buffer to your carries while allowing you to be that more suicidal person. This is where Solo has always thrived. He loves to be able to just get in, force attention onto him to alleviate pressure to the rest of his team. If he dies, it's for a greater cause. If you actually look back historically, this is what has been so scary about fighting up against Solo, is he's just so good at actually forcing you to take fights you don't want to, because it just seems like a cheap, easy support kill. And usually it ends up costing you a lot more then or down the line. So 2-0 victory for VP, very well done for them. I think Prodigy, they had their moments. FN had some great moments, especially in Game 1, his Necrophos performance. In Game 2, he was a little bit more shut down. I think Prodigy need to adjust their drafting a little bit and not allow themselves to get kind of trapped or bamboozled like that. I think individually, like play-wise, they've proven themselves just as capable as anyone else in this group stage. So I look forward to seeing what they're going to do in the playoffs, of course, because Prodigy already make it finish with a final score of 4 wins, 2 losses. Then to round out the day, speaking of losses, we had the biggest loser here, at least definitely on the standings, as OG and OG Seed have at least got 1 win. Team Nigma at least got 1 win. But then you look across at CIS, and Team Spirit have 1 win, but there's someone below them. It's Bait. Bait, 0-6 finish in this group stage, unable to claim a single victory. Not overall series, single game. They were unable to secure a single game through the entire group stage, and that brings them up to now 22 losses in a row. Last time they won was about 18, 19 days ago against Winstrike, but that was an overall loss anyway, as Winstrike bounced back to 2 on the series. These guys are looking rough. They had their moments, you know, there was some individual standout performances, especially from Spartan on his Oracle. I thought he done an amazing job. Honestly, in Game 2, especially, Fly to Moon looked like they should take it. Game 1 was just a complete ruffle stomp. Like, Bait just got ran over. Their draft was kind of flimsy to begin with, and then they had the core Prophet in the POS 1 position just rotating to each lane way too early, trying to force pushes that could never actually come together. And that just gave Fly to Moon time to milk the map, farm up, and stomp them by the 20-minute mark. But in game number 2, this was wholly in Bait's court. They actually done fantastic on the lanes. They snowballed it. You get to like the 25, 28, around that minute mark, and it's looking all Bait. You can't really see a way they can lose this. And then they funnel into these weird choke points. They just keep diving for kills, and it gets punished by Fly to Me fantastically. Ballsy plays, by the way, from Iceberg, as he actually went for Divine Rapier maybe earlier than we see TAs usually do, because he just wanted to amp his damage up to the point of just intolerable and impossible to deal with. And it done exactly that, as Fly to Moon managed to secure that series 2-0 and keep their chances of making it to the playoffs alive if Virtus.pro lose to Team Spirit tomorrow. And that's how the day is going to open up. Tomorrow, on May the 6th, you're going to actually have Virtus.pro versus the side of Team Spirit. Now, Team Spirit, they might have an ace up their sleeve because they do have GPK on the squad. The problem is, when you look at the caliber of players on Virtus.pro, there is no doubt in people's mind right now that they are looking like the favorites. They are very formidable opponents for the side of Team Spirit. And you're going to have to push GPK to lead you to victory to the maximum. Anything he wants to do, you're going to have to back. Is your best opportunity, really. Especially when you've got stand-in. It's better if you're able to play around them because you know how you four work together and you want to actually enable them as much as possible. When you've got a person like a star like GPK, a rising star like that, you always play around him. You do what he wants to do, and he's proven that when we saw Team Spirit last, when they got 2-1 by HR and it looked like they might actually be able to take the series, guess what? It was GPK putting some serious work in on his Kunk or his Queen of Pain. So that's the guy to play around. That's where they can maybe thrive and excel. But we've seen Virtus.pro are very good at playing into that, where they'll have the sacrificial lamb in no one. And then Rezo can have an outstanding performance in the off lane. You'll have LTW just farming up very safely, very well in the safe lane. And then you converge that lead from your 2-1 lanes to overwhelm your opponents. That's going to be the biggest challenge for Team Spirit. I think that is going to be a 2-0. I think Virtus.pro are done messing around. They know what they need to do, and I think they're going to follow through and secure that final spot, sadly for Fly to Moon. Next up, we'll have Nigma versus Secret. There's nothing to play for here in terms of qualifying. The 4 teams that have already qualified, Alliance, Team Secret, Team Liquid, and Ninjas of Pajamas, is now basically just down to positioning, whether Secret want to take top spot from Alliance because they would be higher up on Alliance, seeing as they beat Alliance in a 2-0 victory at the start of the group stage. I think Secret will 2-0 Nigma. I think Secret are playing much cleaner Doa, and Nigma are still like college at this point. They're experimenting. What's what I mean by that? They're just trying all these different things, these quirky things that maybe worked a few patches ago, but they haven't really found their gist or their pace this time around. Then the final series to round out the day is going to be OG versus the side of Ninjas in Pajamas. Ninjas in Pajamas, they're not going to change too much at this point. They're 3-2. Team Liquid are 4-2. But OG are likely to turn up. We've seen what happened in the previous series that OG played recently against Nigma, where they 2-0'd them. You know, at that point, OG had no way of making it past the groups. But this team, they show up, they play. That's how they work, and I think they'll do that. I could easily see them taking a 2-1 victory over the side of Ninjas in Pajamas. I think Ninjas in Pajamas could take a game. I think it's a case like OG will probably try something, get too aggressive, it'll backfire, but then they'll adjust and read NIP's draft really well and shut them out of the game in the second and third. But that's my prediction tomorrow. I'm not going to be hosting anything tomorrow. I've actually got a break now, so break day for the final day, and then there'll be a day's break before the playoffs begin, when I believe I'm due to join, not on the first day of playoffs, but I will be on them from the second day. But that rounds us out. Thank you for tuning in as always. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you subscribe to the channel and let me know what you think. If you've got some feedback, if you've got some subjects you want to talk about, let me know. I wonder if you guys want to see a sort of roundup of the entire group stage done on the day off, or if you just want me to do one of those kind of personal vlogs we do whenever there's not the Dota on. But I always love to hear. So feel free to leave that feedback down below. I read every comment. I try to reply to every comment where it is viable. And I will see you after the games tomorrow for a breakdown. Final day, WePlay Pushka's groups. Thanks, guys. See you in the next one.